Hey, this is Patricia Oswey from the University of Delft in the Netherlands, and here we are in the city of Rotterdam. And I'm here talking with Monique de Mol, and Monique is from Business Development of the Port of Rotterdam. So we're going to ask questions. Monique, can you tell us something about the Port of Rotterdam?
Of course, Patricia.
Yeah.
You're actually here in the Port of Rotterdam, which is started its original form about 40 kilometers off the sea coast, and now grew into a port which is actually on sea. And our last reclamation was actually in the sea, called Maasvlakte 2. So we're about 1,200 industrial acres of land in the port, and with an annual throughput of 4 million tons.
There is a lot of business in the port, I assume, and is there also anything related to bio-based?
Yes, actually we drafted for the Port of Rotterdam a Port Vision 2030, which is a sort of insight into the port's future, growing into a healthier, greener and cleaner port. And we drew up the Port Vision with knowledge institutes like yours, but also with governments and industries. So yeah.
And what is the vision of the port? Do you want to become more bio-based, or?
Yes, one of the important elements of the Port Vision 2030 is the transition to a bio-based industry. And that means for us is coming from an industry solely working with fossil fuel to a more economy where also bio-based is added to the resources.
Okay, that's interesting. Is there already some business here related to bio-based technology?
Yes, actually you can say that the bioport is already in place. We have two world-scale production sites, one for bioethanol and one for biodiesel, actually next VTO, which is a high-grade biodiesel. Next to that we have the production of PET here in the Port of Rotterdam, which is used to produce the green bottle of Coca-Cola.
Oh wow!
And a large amount of agricultural and also vegetable oils come into the port to be processed for the food and feed applications.
So that's already quite a bit. And what about the future? Is there any plan to be more bio-based in the future than you already are?
Yes, as I told you before, we try to make a transition to the bio-based economy, and we think the Port of Rotterdam is very suitable for the bio-based economy because you can actually, the handling of the production of, but also the trading in and the market to the bio-based products is here in the port because two main factors are very characterizing the port. That is one, the industrial symbiosis, where companies that come into the port and have a location here can use utilities that are located in the port, and we call that shared utilities. So industrial gases, steam, wastewater treatment, those are already in place, so companies can make advantage of that and benefit from that, so they don't have to have dedicated utilities for themselves, and that's probably is gonna reduce the investment costs with a high amount. And next to that, we have great logistics here. I mean, we have dedicated freight trains, we have inland vessels, we have connections with our neighboring countries, but also with other regional clusters like in North Rhine-Westphalia or in Belgium. So pipelines going there, so it's great to have your production in Rotterdam.
And so these companies are working together and sharing their perhaps REST streams of their processes with other companies. Is that the idea behind it?
Yes, that's the integrated chain we are aiming for, and that's also it's between the companies in the bio-based economy themselves, but also if you have a valorized or optimized process of your biomass, you, for instance, you can make biochemicals, biofuels, or bioenergy. Then you also can tap into the existing industry that's already here, the petrochemical industry, the fuel industry, so that you can actually benefit from drop-in chemicals or blend your biofuels into the fuel pool that's already existing in Rotterdam.
That sounds exciting.
So the business-to-business market is there.
Rotterdam is one of the world's leading industrial clusters. Here, a versatile and sustainable bioport is emerging. A bioport which offers ample space for the generation of bioenergy, production of biochemicals, and production of biofuels. Many well-known companies have already made substantial investments. Producing and handling in Rotterdam means taking full advantage of economies of scale, synergy and world-class logistics. No other European port can boast the same high integration of activities. In Rotterdam Bioport, companies benefit from a fully fledged biomass chain. In the integrated chemical cluster, biochemicals play an increasingly prominent role, making optimum use of clustering, integration and co-siting, energy efficiency, innovations and R&D. By sharing logistics and utilities, business cases for upcoming biochemical processes can be further improved. A completely new bio-based industrial cluster will arise on Maasvlakte 2, the new port area on the North Sea. A solid base for greenfield developments situated directly on deep water. Production plants can optimally benefit from already existing bio-based activities in the immediate vicinity as well. The Port Authority is developing shared logistics and utilities to further increase efficiency. Bioport, combining bioenergy, biofuels and biochemicals with existing and new businesses. The more we share, the greater our value. Change your perspective.
Sounds very interesting, right? Can you say something about how you deal with sustainability in that sense? Do you have a vision for that as well?
Yes, of course. We underline that the biomass should be sustainable and conflicts with food or fuel crops should be avoided. And of course, biomass must comply with regulatory laws and sustainability certificates on sustainability. And for us it's important because we are an international port. We prefer the laws and the certifications on a European or international level.
Well, Monique, thank you very much for sharing all this information with us. And if the students like to have more information, I'm sure we will give them the website where all the statistics can be downloaded and where you can find more information about the Port of Rotterdam. Monique, thank you very much.
You're welcome.